Hi, and welcome everybody to How to Tell Your AI Story. It's our next expert session on day 2 of this year's BYOB. This is a session which is both timely and crucial in today's AI-saturated market. With so many brands touting AI-powered solutions, how can you make your own AI story stand out from the crowd? Today, we are super lucky to be joined by Cindy Duong, who is the brand design lead at Outshift by Cisco. In this conversation, I'm kind of hoping we can find out more about Outshift, as well as getting Cindy to share her strategies for making AI communications impactful and memorable, giving us insight into how her bold, agile approach brought Outshift's vision to life, including the process maybe behind their captivating AI anthem video. So whether you're navigating corporate environments or trying to push creative boundaries, Cindy's experience will provide valuable lessons on how to craft an authentic and distinctive AI narrative. Lessons which I'm sure will be valuable for helping you create a point of difference to any creative project you're involved with. So let's dive in. Cindy, hello, and a very warm welcome to BYOB.
Hi, thank you so much.
How are you doing? You okay?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited. I really love the space that you've crafted, and excited to talk to everybody.
Good. Well, I'm really glad you're here. It's going to be a lovely little discussion. I think it would be good to cover off some of the background information first. In the intro, I mentioned Outshift. People may or may not know what it is or what you do. So it'd be great if you could tell us a little bit about it, why it came about, what are the main problems you're looking to solve, and also your role within it and why you were brought on board.
For sure. So Outshift is Cisco's emerging technology incubator. Our primary goal is to pilot, research, experimentation, and potentially product go-to-markets to further innovation at Cisco. As an incubator, a lot of the things that we work on are really at like the earliest parts of the technology runway, like especially in the AI space. We're looking 3 to 5 years ahead for technology that the company is going to adopt or inherit. And prior to it being called Outshift, it was just a program of Cisco, emerging technology and incubation. And about a year ago, we made the move to build Outshift or the incubator as a platform for content, for thought leadership, and a lot of that includes like its own branding, its own design, opinions on like content and video. And so that is part of what I joined the team to do, is to like find a space for our voice for Cisco, build that brand personality, a look and feel for it, and drive the content that comes out of the incubator.
So how many people are involved in Outshift now?
Right now, I believe the marketing team on its own is around like 40 people, and the broader organization is around 200. So the incubator is kind of like the startup within Cisco.
Okay, so is it mainly an internal initiative to drive innovation within Cisco?
Yeah, internal, but we do see projects externally. For a while, our model was to bespokely brand products that we felt had legs and put it out into the market and see how they did without the influence of Cisco's brand and reputation, because we're also pursuing new markets for Cisco, places that like it doesn't really benefit from Cisco's namesake, just to see how we would like do in those markets. Our model is changing a little bit now, and we want to stay into like the seed, like beta, like smoke signal part of the incubation for longer. But that's generally like what we're after, is seeding new technologies to open doors for Cisco.
It must be fascinating. It must be awesome, to look at a 5-6 year window ahead and see what's coming down the lane and stuff, and having a kind of a sneak preview about what could becoming available to us.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, incredible. So if we sort of you joined Outshift as the creative lead. Where were you joining from? Were you in Cisco at the time?
No, I wasn't at Cisco at the time. I was just at Atlassian. I was formerly the lead for work management and design for products like Trello, Jira Work Management. And I was affected by a layoff, so I was available in the market. And Leah, who is our current VP of marketing, I think was very happy to see that I was like available and picked me up.
Cool. Nice. It's nice to be wanted. And
Yeah.
if we go right back to the start of that journey for Outshift, and just ask you to elaborate on those kind of first key steps and hurdles that you had to take to maybe convince some of the senior stakers about the value of this AI project.
Yeah, so I think with a project like this, so some context around the AI Anthem was the conversations about like AI technology in our space, in the landscape, was happening really rapidly. Meta was producing, like integrating AI tools into their products. Google just released Gemini, like Microsoft Copilot has been out, but they were like pushing it really hard in marketing. And it just felt like we were on the cusp of like developing our own like AI tools, like policy management. And now we're currently focused like on agentic AI. So last year, it just felt like if we want to make a statement in the AI space and we make our like a stake in the ground as an incubator, we need to say something now. But as you can probably imagine, like executive leadership has their own motives for wanting to publish a video or a statement, and like they have access to information about products and things that they want to like put on a roadmap. Versus like the vision that I and my team had was like we want to make a statement about like making AI not something to fear, something to embrace, because the technology landscape is going to move in that direction, whether or not you're ready. And it was kind of a risky statement to make, but we had a lot of faith that we could do it well. But we didn't want to have like too many cooks in the kitchen and like involve every person in the leadership team. So our approach to that was like building a trusted panel of voices that could like vet our decision making and make sure that we're representing our message on behalf of the broader business, without necessarily having to get like leadership involved every step of the way.
No, I got it. I mean, it happens a lot, doesn't it? I mean, we were kind of talking a little bit actually in the green room before about agency work and stuff. And sometimes that vision that you have kind of just getting a little bit diluted through too many cooks spoiling that broth, or just kind of, diminishing what was at the core of what is a great idea. But sometimes actually when leadership gets involved, or people with their own priorities wanting to put their own slant on it, it really doesn't work. And was there also, I'm assuming with that, almost an element of kind of FOMO, of having to get your story out there quickly so that you weren't lagging behind other people?
Yeah, it was really like, every leader has a prerogative for what they want to do with a project like this. Meanwhile, we are wanting to respond to the market that is like changing rapidly. Like every month almost that we were waffling around how to execute this, we were like behind on statements that were coming out from other organizations, business avenues. So we really wanted to focus on, like, it's not so much FOMO, but it's more of like, how do we make sure that we make our statement while it's still uniquely our statement, and not just a recycle of something someone else has already said? Like at that time, this vision of like Gen AI and human collaboration was a vision that we had of like, how do we tell a human story around AI? Because we're in a period where the sentiment in the industry is very like insecure and hesitant about AI adoption. And like I think we have a really good opportunity and a basis to talk about how it's much of a human experience as much as it is a technical and digital experience. But like, yeah, it's not so much about missing out, but like you're the first one to make the statement while it's still uniquely yours.
Yeah, and that came across really strongly in the Anthem film stuff. And I was wanting to know, was that sentiment of this kind of, you know, human being, the kind of the starting point, and all of the ambition and all of the, you know, the ideas and potential that humans have been augmented, you know, and enhanced by AI. Was that something that was in the original brief, or was that something that you came up with, exploration and experimenting and just kind of talking to people and understanding the whole scenario?
Funny enough, this project had originally started as like a branding video for our AI like swim lane or IOUs. And the original concept was like creating an AI brand using AI tools. But I just felt like we were missing an opportunity to like explain why we cared to do that. And so the brief evolved to talk about like the collaboration between Gen AI and people. And the thing is that like in a world in which we feel like AI tools are here to replace us, that is a choice to make. Like, do you let it replace you and not take a stance or position on the tools? Or do you move with the landscape, understand how the tools work so that you can influence the future in the way that it affects you? And that was the direction we wanted to take. It's like, it's as much of a human experience, even though it's a technical tool. Because we have to write the algorithms, we have to write the libraries. Like you get to choose like the ethics of how the tools use and affect your life. At Cisco, we have like a board of experts like lawyers and engineers and open source developers who are evaluating all the tools that our company uses to make sure that like any AI tools that are adopted are responsible and ethical. And that is a human intervention on how AI tools affect your life. And so that sentiment we wanted to get across here.
And it comes across so strongly, so well. And we'll pick up maybe on, you know, the ethical side of AI and how you had to incorporate that into what you're doing. But I was just wondering how that message is landing both internally at Cisco and also outside people who are looking at the video. Are they kind of seeing this as a bit of a kind of, you know, a nirvana for AI that isn't a reality, or do people actually embrace that and feel actually it is, you know, us that are in charge and we have the potential using the tools effectively?
I think that like, well, as far as the video and our anthem and our position on it, I would say the reception has been pretty good. There's been a couple instances in which we've talked to people who want to bring onto our team, and they're like, well, I don't know how I feel about AI. I've never really worked in that space. And then like played the video for them, talked to them through our position on it, and have had people tell me like, actually, you changed my mind. Like I didn't think about it that way. I could be passive about the issue, or I could be like a participant in shaping the vision and the future of AI tools. And that's like, exactly. It's like it can happen with or without you.
Yeah,
so if you
it's
feel
going to
like
happen, isn't it?
it's going to happen with or without you. Be involved, a participant in shaping the landscape, just the same way that we've shaped the landscape for all other types of technology. As far as like the overall sentiment, I think it's starting to dawn on us that like AI is going to be a big part of our lives. You know, like we have like iPhones with like built-in AI, like really seeing like a lot of it shows up in our tools. Like you look around and generative content is being presented to you all the time. So I think it's still very much of like, even if you are hesitant and maybe withdrawn from the idea of it, it's still an active choice you can still make to influence what that future looks like, if whether or not you are pro or against.
Yeah, I know. I think, you know, every industry, every sector is faced with AI. I mean, you know, we're looking at it here in our sector, and it kind of, you know, 18 months ago, you know, people were kind of fearful of it, you know, and I think, you know, we don't know what the big long-term picture is, but we kind of have a focus internally here in the agency about how can we augment AI to make ourselves more efficient and more effective and more accurate. Stage two, how, are there ways that we can monetize through AI, our services? And three, really identify the threats that AI may offer us as an organization. Are those kind of three pillars that you see AI, or is there other areas that we?
I would say that like it is easy to fear something you don't understand.
Yeah.
In any area of business, AI is not the last landscape of technology that will change the way that we operate. Like we are looking at quantum networking right now. We're looking at AI agents who are written to learn on top of the things that are programmed into it and kind of be a living version of AI technology. So I think it's really like the opportunity to learn how these tools work so that you don't fear them and then use them to your advantage. Like I do think that like the world that we live in, we have a vision of being more accurate and like scaling our work up. Like rather than feeling like AI is going to replace you, like how can you make yourself valuable in a way that is intrinsically human and like do all the automated work through the AI, rather than you being the button pusher, AI will be the button pusher. What is the unique thing that you offer that the AI tools don't?
Exactly.
Um, and do those jobs better and be add a human element to it.
I got it, and it's and so yeah, and that's me taking us down a bit of a rabbit hole. So, but coming back, the job you have to tell those stories in ways which relate to people understand and find inspiring, I guess, and kind of give hope and inspiration to know that actually, this is something that is here, but actually we can embrace it and it will make our lives better. Going back, just stepping a step back, and you're talking about the ethics side, and obviously Cisco has very strong ethics and around AI. How closely did you have to work with these people in AI to tell your story?
Yeah, so as like a strategic way to like keep the working level outside of the executive leadership team, but still make sure that we were like working within the bounds. I reached out to like lawyers who were on the AI framework team, like corporate brand people. We like vetted every AI tool that we wanted to use for the video project. I had to like find out whether or not we were allowed to use certain tools if they weren't like uh, sanctioned by like the company. So it was a lot of like really strategic writers, lawyers, our VP of marketing, who's kind of like our eyes and ears into the leadership team to like be like, well, I'm not in that meeting. I'm not in those conversations, but based on what like my VP was listening to, like we could kind of gut check whether or not we were on the right track to tell the story and that it was like not necessarily just safe, but just in alignment while still pushing like the boundary on this project. Um, like the first time that like leadership team saw it is when we were done with it. So it was a little bit of a surprise for them, but we had like a lot of faith in how we were crafting it.
I get it. It's something that we grapple with sometimes here is whether you go for that big reveal or whether you do this kind of iterative approach, and there's pros and cons for both. With that big reveal, has it always landed well with the leadership team?
I think it's a testament of like trust and a historically good reputation that like allowed it to be presented well. I was very nervous about it.
Yeah.
But there was always kind of like a contingency plan of like, okay, if we need to go back and fix things, but like we felt really strongly about this. We hope that like the onus of our creative vision and also like them understanding that we tout the brand just as strongly as they do. Like we have a vision for how we want to have the brand be perceived and how we want this message to be perceived is in alignment with them. Um, I would say that the benefit of the way we presented it to them is that they were in an offsite, like in person, in a conference room, and then we played it for them while they're all physically there. That definitely helped to like mitigate like preconceived notions of like streaming something online. And like the sentiment in the room was very positive. I don't want to think about how that could have gone wrong, but I was very happy that it went well.
So it's funny, when you can kind of go sometimes with those scamp stages of an idea, and they kind of and they need a lot of explanation, and you kind of that the reason's right, but actually by you explaining it maybe means it's kind of off kilter. But there's something about looking at some motion with sound, which has got an emotive thing where you can't, especially if you turn the volume up loud, there's nowhere to hide, is there? You can't help but feel a little bit of emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good trick, isn't it? Put people in a quiet room with a big TV and then turn the sound up, and you're going to get a reaction.
Yeah, like something about like the room surrounded, and you're surrounded by people who are also kind of like taken aback, but at the same time, like I think the endorphins are a lot higher, so the chances of good sentiment are better.
Sure. And you mentioned it a couple of times just in that last few minutes about the brand and working within the umbrella of Cisco, which is obviously a huge organization. Did you have to balance your the autonomy of the creative you were doing within Outshift with Cisco brand guidelines and tone of voice?
So one of the benefits of the incubator is that we are specifically positioned to be kind of autonomous from the corporate brand and the parent brand. So you'll notice, like, if you go to like outshift.com, like a lot of what we do doesn't look like parent Cisco on purpose. And we do have like a brand hierarchy in place that kind of keeps that safe. Like if you can imagine, we don't want Cisco to be talking about the products or projects of the incubator without Outshift as a buffer, because our projects are really volatile. They're incubating. They're like could change or go away at any time, or they can get merged into something at any time. Similarly, like we don't want to like make claims on behalf of parent Cisco without like framing it carefully as within the incubator. So there is like a hierarchy in place that kind of preserves like our brand relationship with them. But I would say that for this video, one of the things that we were treading carefully on was that Cisco hadn't published like a broad AI anthem statement like this yet either, not as far as we saw. I think shortly after they did a campaign. But we were really careful to not make this statement on behalf of like broader Cisco or like Cisco corporate. Like we are not making this statement on behalf of the parent company. We wanted to make sure that it was like very carefully bookended within the incubator. Our focus on that time is like solutions for enterprise businesses. So we tried to like craft the message to be very specific around who it is that we are addressing, as to like not step on corporate toes of like we're not making a statement on behalf of this like much larger entity. Everything that it is attributed to says Outshift by Cisco. There is no like Cisco logo on there. So there was a little bit of like choreographing there to make sure that we like were perceived properly.
Gotcha. And can I come back again, maybe more of a broader question around about creativity in quite complex situations? So obviously, as with a lot of complex creative problems, when you're working in a kind of tech-based sector, AI is and can be a complex beast. Have you got any practical advice on driving creativity and innovation when you're trying to get across a complex message and make it easy to understand and also exciting,
Yeah, I would say that it's really underrated for creatives or people in the marketing brand space to be subject matter experts to any degree of the topic that you're working on. So like I didn't have any experience with like AI or like quantum computing prior to joining Outshift, but I spent like a decent amount of my time like listening to researchers and technical marketing engineers and subject matter experts explain the topics to me and consuming content, like to maybe like a 5th grade level, you know, as much as I can like squeeze into my peanut brain about these really complex topics, I will try my best to, so that I can translate that into my work, to like a level of fidelity that doesn't require someone else like puppeteering for me. Like I need to understand these topics, um, to whatever degree I can, so that I can have conversations with other subject matter experts. And so like when we're working on really complex topics, like I think it requires you to be very active participant in it. Don't be passive and just wait for people to feed you the information on whatever these product features are or whatever this technology is. And you're just waiting around like, I don't know, that's not my job. I don't care what that is because I'm a designer or I'm a like copywriter, I'm a PR person. I don't think that's good enough in this day and age. I think you have to be an active participant and like be a cross-functional partner and like a mini subject matter expert, and like be the visual communicator that you like that you are capable of. It's like you're not a one-trick pony, so you kind of have to constantly develop your skill set.
Yeah, that's cool. And something we kind of say a lot is to understand, obviously, the technology to a certain extent and be not the subject matter expert, but understand enough, but also really focus on the benefits of that technology. What's that going to do for the end user? You know, how's it going to make their life better, easier, quicker, save them money, make them more efficient, and you know, make sure that message is landing in your creative.
Yeah, like I think that in our area of business, like brand, marketing, creative, like the magic power that we have is that like we understand people well, right? Like we are social engineers, like we are like anthropologists, like we understand like the science of how people react or are drawn to things, or like what tugs at a heartstring when we want to tell a story. Like we're storytellers. All of those skills are like intrinsic, intangible in nature. We can use that for like business strategy success. You know, like we can use those skills to position ourselves and put ourselves as like in a high value position and put ourselves in the room with like, you know, the data analysts and the business strategy people. Like I think it's really important that like we are using our like shape shifting skills to our advantage and like don't undersell them, because like you can put yourself in a position where your ideas, your solutions are not just in a box, like they are part of a larger business strategy.
I love that. You can come and talk to our creative team and do a talk. that was spot on. That brilliant. And so, what next for the you know to evolve the Outshift AI story? Are you working on any more exciting projects?
Right now, we are like really investing in understanding and putting out projects in line with like agentic AI. We have like a lot of like blogs and interviews and things like that. But just like what the difference between an AI assistant where you just kind of like plug and play and it just does its job to whatever degree it's willing to perform, versus like an AI agent that is training itself on the behavior of on the inputs, like and like vetting itself and like growing and molding itself based on how it performs. That's the next version of like self-learning AI tools that we're really interested in. I don't know what it looks like yet in the form of like something that's publicly facing. Also like quantum networking, like we're looking at like what is the next version of the internet look like, you know, like we've been web 1.0 to the version of the web we have now. Like what happens when the computers that you are working on are like 32 billion times faster in computing power, also use a ton of energy, but also like what if like threat attackers have access to that type of technology? How do we protect defenses against like that version of the internet? Like high stakes, high reward. So
yeah. So we are really running out of time. We got a couple of questions in. I was going to ask you, you know, what you would say to people who are still afraid of AI. But I think we kind of mentioned that a little bit previously. So we've got one question here, maybe just does your creative team use AI tools in your workflows?
We have, yeah. We use tools that are support us like in writing often, because we don't have as much writing support as we wish that we had. So tools like Jasper AI to help us craft like tone and voice and writing. We've really gone into using Midjourney to generate images for collage and stuff like that. I think we could get into like the ethics of that, but we use it to do really specific prompt injection
Yeah,
for
definitely.
collaging and crafting stories, rather than
I'm with you. I'm getting eagles because we've run over time, Cindy. I'm really sorry. I could chat for another half hour, but maybe we'll do a podcast later on for our change makers. But thank you so much for your time. It was lovely to chat with you. I hope you enjoyed the session. I hope your listeners found it useful. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so
Cheers,
much.
Cindy. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.